Let's get it.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to another edition of WCW Nitro Podcast. I'm your host. I'm Notorious One. I am Dom. I'm here with my brother, all the way down in Delaware. I'm here with BDC. BDC, what's going on, brother? How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Another week, another day, another dollar, bro.
That's right.
Let's get it ripping.
That's right. Today we're in episode 14 of WCW Nitro, and they are in Phoenix, Arizona. We have Bobby the Brain Heenan, Steve Mongan McMichael, and Eric Bischoff on commentary again.
Yep.
And then the main event for the show tonight, we have Lex Luger taking on Randy Savage, Macho Man, for the WCW title.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
They hyped up the show up already.
Mm-hmm. They was putting it out there. They was putting it out there from the jump. They was trying to get that energy hot and bothered from the get-go. They were all over it from the jump.
That's right. That's right.
If the energy matched the show, then we in for a good one. If it don't, we at least got it hyped up in the beginning.
Well, opening match is pretty interesting because we have the American Males taking on Harlem Heat with Sister Sherry for the tag team titles. This is a rematch. Don't forget, this is episode 3 or 4 in Nitro, where the males won the tag titles.
Yeah, so it was the males won, and it was some shenanigans, not necessarily interfering in the match, but there was some shenanigans. And I think the next time we see Harlem Heat, there was some very similar shenanigans going on. I don't remember if that was exactly the males that they were wrestling at the time, but they were wrestling another tag team, and there were some shenanigans. And here we go, the rematch: males versus the Heat again. Sister Sherry down there again. Someone else makes their appearance again, and we're gonna float it from there.
All right. Well,
yep.
During the match, Stevie Ray, he's the heater of the match, and he's bringing Scotty Riggs. Scotty Riggs is getting beat down again. And that's somebody that you was talking about that popped up ringside. That was Colonel Robert Parker, and he's out there. Yeah. He had a present in his hand, and he gives that gift to Scary Sherry, Sister Sherry, and she opened the gift, and it's like a lace sweater gown. I don't know what you want to call it. It was something. It was something different. She wore it, and it also had an engagement ring with it. So she put the ring on her finger, and then they walk off with one another, and then
smooching, sucking face, and all that other shit. Yep.
And then you see Booker T. He's upset. He's screaming, "Sherry, Sherry, come back!" But Harlem Heat at this time, they're still dominating this match right here.
Yep.
But the males try to do what they can. They still weren't nothing.
No.
Harlem Heat wins with Booker T hitting the Harlem Hangover on Buff back.
Yep. And the thing of it is it followed the same blueprint. The first time around, they were basically destroying the males, and then Sherry's distraction caused Booker T to get pinned, and Stevie Ray was too busy fighting Scotty Riggs outside the ring to know that his partner was getting pinned. So there was that. But this match went technically how the first match should have went. Harlem Heat dominated. They beat themselves the first time around. This time around, they did not. And yeah, the Harlem Hangover took them out. And that was it. That was ball game.
That's it.
Yep.
All right, well, after this, it's time for Mean Gene Okerlund. This time, he's interviewing Sting and Lex Luger, and then Gene asks Sting, what is the story with Lex Luger?
Wait, I do have to ask a question before we move forward.
Go ahead.
All right. Why did we need to have AC Green?
He was just a fan. He played for
at this time. He has left the Lakers. He's now playing for the Phoenix Suns. So he was playing, and they had him in the fans and had him in the crowd, and Booker T is going in on him from he's inside the ring. AC Green is talking shit. I guess, I don't know, he threatened to hit him with a basketball or something. I don't know. But really, it made zero sense why the two of them were going at each other. Ultimately, it didn't matter much because they never even really intertangled until after the match was over, and even that I wouldn't really call a tangle. But it just seemed like they just needed to get as many Phoenix Suns players on this show as they could possibly get. Keep that in mind.
WCW is just trying to show you that tune in to WCW Monday Night.
They're mainstream, baby.
You never know who's going to pop up in the crowd or in the ring.
Right.
So that's their go-to right now. So that's why AC was in the crowd.
Yep. As Poppy would say, yeah, you just know they're trying to get everybody in there, baby. They're just trying to get them all in there, baby.
Yep. They don't care who you are. Hey, what you busy? You busy? Come on.
Yeah, exactly. You got 5 minutes. You got 5 minutes to go? Okay.
Oh, man.
But
all right, so back to Mean Gene. Mean Gene's with Sting and Lex Luger, and then Gene asked Sting, what is the story with Lex Luger? And Sting basically said that their friendship is a friendship, but he doesn't agree the business side of Lex Luger and Jimmy Hart.
Yeah.
And basically Sting says that he has an opportunity for the triangle match at Starrcade, and he has the chance to face Lex Luger, and that if he gets the chance to get in the ring with Lex Luger, he's not going to be twinkle-toeing, whatever that is.
Yep. He's not going to be pussyfooting it, as they would call it. He's not going to be dancing around. He's going to be in there for a fight. Yeah. He has pretty much said that he firmly believes that Lex Luger has a good chance of beating Macho Man for the title, which, I mean, technically he did because, Macho at that point is fighting with one arm. And so the possibility could be that Luger wins the championship, Sting wins the triangle match, and they face each other. So it was a scenario, and he called it out. And Lex basically confirms everything he says.
Yeah,
it's pretty much all he. Yeah,
friend or not, there's gonna be no holding back.
Yep.
That was basically it. That was your promo.
Yeah, that was the promo.
Yep.
Indeed it was. And I mean, we go into the next match because they were on the ramp. We go into the next match with Sting and Kurosawa, where Sting, after that promo, decides he's gonna leave and then realizes, oh shit, I got a match. And he turns around and he comes back.
Yeah, the music going on.
which that had me rolling because his music starts up and then he starts walking back and then he's like, oh yeah, that's my music, and then he turns around and he comes back down the ramp. I'm like, dude, either somebody didn't tell him the match was right there, or he forgot the match was right there. It was hilarious.
All right, well, like BDC said, our next match is Sting versus Kurosawa, and Kurosawa, he's been hot lately. Every time we seen him on Nitro, and he was giving to Sting. He's working on Sting's arm.
Yep.
But after a while, Sting heated up, and he won the match with Scorpion Death match. It was nothing special, but made Sting look strong. The fans were happy about it.
It did, yeah, especially because Kurosawa was really taking him to task on his arm. It was really beating on him, and then it was just like Sting had that one moment where he reversed his attack in the corner. It was over. It was over. It was like counter, punch, stinger splash, Scorpion Death Drop, or Scorpion Deathlock, over. That was it.
That's legitimately how it went.
It did not take long at all.
And still, at this point, we still don't know who is the WCW United States champion. Because Sting was at the champion at one point. I know me and you covered like what happened to the title, and Kurosawa beat him, I guess, in Japan. And who the hell is the champion at this time?
Yeah, neither was announced as it. So, and it was just a match.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Yep.
All right, well, after this, they advertised Starrcade 1995, and I wrote this in my notes. I'm not sure if you peeped it. Starrcade is the final pay-per-view in the month of December, and Starrcade 95 is on a Wednesday night.
I did notice that. Not quite sure what was up with that, but it was on a Wednesday night, and that kind of it did catch me off guard. and especially if I'm not mistaken, the date was it the 27th?
Yeah,
it was after Christmas. I think it was December 27th. I'm not quite sure what that was all about.
Starcade, the World Cup of Wrestling. That's what Starcade.
Yeah, because it was essentially WCW versus New Japan.
Yep, I think. Looking at that right now. Looking at the card. Wow, you know what?
Might have to watch it to.
The opening match got my attention. I'll go through the card real quick. Starcade 95.
Go ahead.
In the dark match, we have Diamond Dallas Page taking on Dave Sullivan.
Yeah, that's why it's a dark match.
Another dark match, you have the American Males taking on the Blue Bloods.
Okay.
In our opening match for Starcade 95, we got Jushin Thunder Liger taking on Chris Benoit. I like to see that.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
After this, I'm not sure how I'm going to say his name. John will laugh at me. Koji Kanemoto taking on Alex Wright.
Okay.
And then you got Lex Luger taking on Masahiro Chono. I know that's probably a good.
Oh yeah, yeah, man.
And then you got Johnny B. Bad taking on Masa Saito. And then you got Shinjiro Otani taking on Eddie Guerrero. It's funny. Look at this match. Every single Japanese wrestler they have on this card, they're accompanied by Sonny Ono. Every single match.
Oh yeah. That was part of why he was there. Those were his guys. So that's why they brought him up like that.
Then you got Macho Man taking on Hiroshi Tenzan. Then you got Sting taking on Kenzo Sasaki again. You got Flair beating Sting and Luger in the triangle match. Then you got Flair winning the title against Macho Man.
Wow.
And then we have another dark match for the United States Championship.
Kensuke Sasaki against the One Man Gang, where apparently the one man gang won. He won, but he didn't win. I'm looking at it right now. There was a controversy. Sasaki kicked out of the pinfall. The referee still made the 3 count despite the fact that he kicked out. Yeah. It says One Man Gang celebrated with the belt. The mistake was pointed out by another official, and the match was restarted with Sasaki then pinning One Man Gang to regain the title. However, the match was never acknowledged because it was a dark match. The match was never acknowledged to have restarted. They showed it on WCW Saturday Night, and One Man Gang walked out the champion. So technically, even though Sasaki they restarted the match and Sasaki won, they never acknowledged the restart. So One Man Gang is your champion after that match.
Typical WCW.
Wow. Wild. Absolutely wild.
All right. Well, our next match, we have Scott Norton taking on the Giant with the Taskmaster and Jimmy Hart. And you got 2 heels going at it. Scott Norton's a big powerhouse, and the Giant, he's a powerhouse as well, who's just a bigger, he's a giant. That's all he is. He's just a giant. And Scott Norton, he got manhandled this match.
Giant clubbed the mess out of him, man.
Yeah, he did.
He clubbed the mess.
But Scott Norton, he did show his strength. The Giant put him in a headlock, and Norton, he picked him up for the atomic drop. And then for some reason, the Giant, Scott Norton goes on the top rope to try and take him out. And the Giant catches him midair, and he just choke slams him for the win. 1, 2, 3. The Giant is the winner.
Yeah, I mean, the Norton was trying to clothesline him to hell. I don't. Yeah. He was clotheslining the mess out of him, and he clotheslined him one too many times because I'm looking at the Giant's face, and after about that second one, it looked like he woke up. I'm like, uh-oh. He clotheslined him one last time, and then he gets on the top rope, and I'm like, this is about to be trouble. And sure enough, as as one would say, he was goozled and choke slammed. So
that's all it took.
Man. Yeah. I mean, I don't know who wanted this match. I really don't, because at this point, I guess Scott Norton had his own program against the Dungeon of Doom that no one knew about nor cared about. I don't know, but yeah, he had a hard enough time with the Shark, so let's give him the giant next. Yeah, that makes sense. He got plastered. Pretty much, he got destroyed.
Yeah,
he got destroyed.
All right. Well, after this, we have Charles Barkley coming out with the Nature Boy Ric Flair.
Yes, sir.
Charles Barkley at this time, he was playing for the Phoenix Suns, and he said that they have the best basketball fans of all time, and that the wrestling fans need to appreciate the Nature Boy Ric Flair.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He really said that.
What were your thoughts on seeing Charles Barkley in the ring? A skinny Charles Barkley.
Looks like they were filling a quota, and they've met it with two. They had AC Green. They had Charles Barkley. They had the two popular players on the club at the time. Way to go. Yeah, it is funny seeing Charles Barkley as a skinnier guy, because you're so used to seeing him as he is now. But yeah, you forget dude used to be a beast back in the day. Built solid. And apparently he can talk on a mic a little more than we are led on to believe these days, because
he was definitely comfortable at the time. He got better over time.
Yep. He definitely put it out there. It was like he's got the Phoenix fans booing him, which was hilarious to me. It's like, dude, you're in Phoenix and you're getting booed right now. That not how that's supposed to work.
No damn sense.
Not how it's supposed to work. And then, of course, Ric Flair. You keep it up. I'm gonna have Charles walk away from the NBA, become a horseman. Yeah, bro.
Hey, he probably got a championship joining the Horsemen.
Bruh. No, he wouldn't have.
If Mongo could be a champ, Barkley could be a champ.
I still don't know how that shit happened.
All right, well, it's main event time. We have Lex Luger with Jimmy Hart taking on the Macho Man, Randy Savage, for the World Heavyweight Championship. And you know how Macho Man is. He brings the intensity every single time. Doesn't matter who you are. But Lex Luger, he finally got some offense. And then I hate that big elbow that Luger does. The guy's on the ground. He jumps so damn high, and he always misses.
It's kind of like Ric Flair going on the top rope. A suplex or a body slam is coming. Every time he gets on the top rope, someone's gonna run underneath him, pick him up, and slam him. It's a tell, as they say. It's a tell.
Do you think like Luger messing with missing the big elbow all the time? You think that could have had an issue with the way he is now?
Well, if his arm is jacked up, absolutely. Because he wasn't missing and hitting air; he was missing and hitting steel, or he was missing and hitting table, or he was missing and hitting something hard. Over time, that's gonna jack you up.
Yeah, look at Hogan in the leg drop.
Now he got like 18 bad hips.
Yep, bad hips, bad back.
Mm-hmm.
Not as tall anymore.
Yeah.
Terrible.
No longer got the 24-inch pythons. They're now more like 18.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
All right, well, back to this match. The match was going real well until Macho Man, he got hit by the exposed turnbuckle.
Yep.
And then, after a while, Savage heats up and Luger gets hit with the turnbuckle. And then while Luger is about to pass out, he accidentally knocks out the ref. The ref is laid out, and then Flair comes out, and he just cold clocks Savage with a foreign object. And then Hogan comes down to the ring. He is teasing the fans. He takes out Flair. And then Hogan pulls Jimmy Hart into the ring, and then Luger is dazed. Jimmy Hart, he's dazed, and Hogan just threw Jimmy Hart. It's supposed to be a double headbutt, but he just threw him.
It was supposed to be.
Chest.
It was supposed to be a come to Jesus moment. It was just like wall hitting wall, or Jimmy Hart hitting a wall, because it really didn't affect Luger all that much.
And then Hogan's getting ready to nail Luger. He's winding up. Then he's getting ready to throw a punch, and then after he threw that punch, Sting blocked Luger and
got clocked.
And he got clocked. And after this, Sting's he's pissed off. He's pushing Hogan. Hogan's pushing him.
Yep.
And then we get Mean Gene back in the ring. And Hogan asked Sting, what the hell's going on with him and Luger? And Sting said, just like Macho Man is your friend, he's my friend. I question his motives, but I still trust my friend. And then basically the question is, well, can I trust you next week, Sting, when we fight Ric Flair and Arn Anderson next week? And then you basically know the answer. Sting said, oh, hell yeah, basically.
Yeah, basically. I mean, my thing was this. Hogan asked a very obvious question. What's the deal with you and Luger? When all he had to do was watch the show, because he told us exactly what happened, what was going on between him and Luger. So that was a fail. He had to repeat himself. Okay. The bigger question ultimately becomes, can Luger stay out of my way? Which is what Hogan asked, if Luger can stay out of his way, and Sting says, I'll make sure Luger stays out of your way. I'll make sure Luger stays out of Savage's way. All that yitty yang. How you going to control a grown ass man? Good question, but hey, he's willing to try, so more power to him. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it basically leads into the fact that they have a match next week. It's going to be Sting and Hogan versus Flair and AA Arn Anderson. And so we're going to see how that goes. I mean, right now they're the Four Horsemen, but really they're only the three, because we've only seen three of them together. We have still yet to see Chris Benoit with the rest of them as of yet. They've talked about him, but we haven't seen him yet. So we'll see what happens next week. Yep.
That's it.
Mm-hmm. Well, this is your show, folks.
That was it for Nitro. What do we have for the dark card or dark matches?
All right, in the dark matches tonight, we have nobody. There was no dark matches.
Okay.
There were none.
All right.
I guess they threw their best product out there on the field.
All right. So what are your thoughts on the
show? I mean, the main event is your classic. It's your classic main event as far as storytelling goes. I do appreciate the fact that Macho Man took a page out of what should have been Luger's book and really worked his arm over. Like, he started really worked on his arm, and I really appreciated the fact that it was like, okay, you're gonna work on my arm, I'm gonna mess your arm up too, which he did some things to his arm. I was like, I was very impressed by that. Outside of that, it was all right. The Booker T, the Harlem Heat, American Males match went exactly how it should have went the first time they fought. So, okay. Sting and Kurosawa was decent. Yeah. Right. You got to showcase Kurosawa from a standpoint of being able to dominate a match for a bit, but then, it was like it turned midnight, and the chariot turned into a pumpkin, and it was squashed within a minute. Scott Flash Norton and the Giant made no sense, didn't need to be there. And the main event was cool. So it was all right. It was nothing special. I wasn't jumping out my seat. Wasn't excited. It wasn't, but it didn't overly bore me either or make me want to go to sleep. So it was okay. It was okay.
Yeah, it definitely was a decent show. Everyone's looking forward to the main event, see if Luger can win the title. Obviously, it didn't happen, but
right. And that was my moment of the night. Was the main event. It was because, as I said, it was your classic main event. It felt like a main event. It felt like one.
Yep. Yeah, it did.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, on the other channel, on Monday Night Raw, December 4th, 1995, our opening match, we have the British Bulldog taking on Bob Holly.
Okay. Was this before... He wasn't hardcore yet. He was just Bob Holly. He still had the flowing blonde hair.
The flowing blonde hair and NASCAR driver.
Yeah, he was 2 turns away from Thurman Sparky Plug. Got it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And after this, we see Fatu taking on the Brooklyn Brawler.
Okay. That was a squash match, I'm sure. Continue on. Sure.
Then we have Razor Ramon taking on Dean Douglas to retain the Intercontinental Championship. You guys don't know who Dean Douglas is. It's the franchise of ECW.
Yep.
Shane Douglas.
Yeah, he would. And to anyone wondering, how did Scott Hall beat Shane Douglas? Well, he was kind of nerfed in WWF. he was nerfed. He was. I won't say he was limited.
Yeah.
But I will say that the things that make him franchise were not on display in WWF.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
So.
All right.
Yeah.
I completely get that, man. All right. Well, your main events, we have Marty Jannetty taking on Sid with Ted DiBiase. So just from looking at this card and knowing the Nitro card, I would have stayed on the Nitro side.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Because basically your main event was another squash match.
Yep.
Because there's no way on God's green hell that Marty Jannetty was ever beating Sid ever.
In a main event.
In a main event.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Actually, hold on. The match ended in a no contest.
Which would be about as good as it gets. So what had happened? Did Shawn Michaels come out there and attack Marty Jannetty? What was it?
It just said no contest. I'm not even sure how it took place. It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
I'm not reliving that.
You look. I'm a look to see why that match ended the way it did. Versus Sid. Yeah, let's see. I'm not going to watch it, but I'm going to see what happened with the match.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Oh, Jesus. Oh, no, I'm not going through all that. Never mind. I'm not going through all that.
That's it for Monday Night Raw, but next week on Nitro, we are going to cover Eddie Guerrero taking on Mr. JL. We haven't seen JL in a while, but he's back.
Mm-hmm.
Paul Orndorff taking on Disco Inferno.
Okay.
Lex Luger.
Interesting that he's taking on, that those two are fighting each other.
Yeah. Lex Luger taking on Jim Duggan. And your main event, Hogan and Sting taking on the Four Horsemen of Arn Anderson and Brian Pillman.
Yeah, so that cruiserweight match is going to be something nice. I'm sure that match is going to be something nice. Guerrero and Jerry Lynn are going to bring it. They're going to bring it.
Yep. And they got 4 minutes, so
a lot can happen in 4 minutes. And when there's luchadors in the ring, a lot can happen in 4 minutes.
Yeah, they definitely can cook. I'll tell you.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. It's going to be it's going to be interesting. It'll be a worth watch.
All right, BDC. Well, that wraps up WCW Nitro episode 14. Until then, I'm the Notorious One. I am Dom. I'm here with BDC, and next week to you, we had a milestone episode 15 of Nitro, and maybe we'll get a special guest on that one. Maybe somebody want to cover that with us.
Yeah, we'll reach out to a few people and see if anyone bites back. We'll throw some
milestone 15 episode of Nitro.
Yeah, because at 15 just reminds us that we have something in the neighborhood of, 1,900 more of these to go.
5 years.
Yeah, so look forward to next week. Hopefully it will be something that'll last longer than 30 minutes. Because
last week was about the same amount too. So
yeah, they give us so much to talk about. So, but yeah, look forward to next week, man.
You too, brother.
All right,
we'll see you next time. Boom.